All right.
Just to be careful. You know?
Yeah. So we're just pushing all the lines through here. My buddy Marcel helping me out and Jess. So we got a -8 line that's going to the front of the car that's going to feed the fuel rails. And we got a -6 line that's going through the same way, but it's going to become, the fuel from that's going to be coming back.
All right.
And the main feed line coming from the stock pump is going to be running through this hole over here. This is just a test line right now, but we're going to be running an actual line. And this is where the surge tank system is going to be mounted over here with the main input and then output from here. So that's where we're at right now.
Yo, White, send us
Yo, I'm dead. Hold on.
So you guys need more weight?
Yeah, dog.
I could add 2 seconds.
No?
More weight,
What's going on, guys? So we're just mock fitting some of the piping right now. I got pretty much the cold side piping down. Just wanted to make sure all the clearances are okay with the turbo and all that, because underneath and I still have to adjust this a little bit because this pipe is hanging way too low. So I was speaking with Sasha from Boosted Performance, and he suggested clocking the cold side a little bit higher up, so we might actually do that. We also just got the upgraded oil pan installed, and I also put in this this drain fitting here just so that it's easier to change your oil, and I don't have to worry about the stupid drain bolt getting, like, usually last time what happened was I put the drain bolt in and it was eating away at the threads and it just started leaking. So once I installed this, I had no issues last time, so I went with the same thing again. And oil feed lines hooked up here and running to the turbo, and also the drain line you can see above coming back, and it's feeding to the scavenge pump over here that we have mounted right up front. So this is pretty much how the setup looks for the Boosted Performance mid-mount kit, as long as you have a turbo that uses oil. If you run a comp turbo, then you won't be having any of this oil system stuff, because the comp turbos are all oilless, and that's usually the turbo setup that you'll get with a Boosted Performance kit. So for you see, still gotta put the couplers on and stuff. What's going on, guys? I just want to give you an update of where we are here. So we did mount the intercooler just temporarily, just to mock up the piping and see if everything fits right. I actually had that silver pipe, that one back there, I had that backwards, so it was messing up with the fitment, but now everything's all right. So I'm just gonna get the V-band, the T-bolt clamps put back on. We got the oil pan mounted as well, the new oil pan, which has a 1 liter extended capacity there. I'll give you guys a better view of that there. There it is. And the sway bar is mounted with the end links now finally, so everything's done there suspension wise. And essentially we have the oil fitting all set up as well. So this is actually going to feed right from the block all the way to the actual turbo, and then we have a line coming out of the bottom of the turbo running back, which is this one here, and essentially it runs through this oil scavenge pump. And since the turbo is mounted below the car, we're not able to gravity drain to the oil pan as you would usually do in a top mount turbo. So we need this oil scavenge pump here to essentially just scavenge oil from the actual turbo and feed it back to the oil pan so it can run back through the engine. Other than that, we did also install the Cosworth fuel rails up here. I love the way these look. They're friggin' nasty. Kind of go with the color of the car as well. And ID 1300cc injectors are also installed. Now the IDs use a different harness, and obviously these won't plug into this. So we actually had to get a adapter harness, which I should have hopefully tomorrow. So I'll plug those in. And these fittings here came along with my fuel system kit. So those are put on, and we need to finish making the lines. So essentially the way it's going to work is, I've essentially showed you a little bit of it, but let me just show you a little bit more here. So in the trunk here I have the surge system. It's not mounted yet, it's just sitting there, but this has 2 pumps internally here. And what we're going to have is actually, let me show you guys. So I'm going to have a fitting connector attached onto the stock output, which is going to run through the back seats and into the surge system at the back. And then we're going to have the 2 pumps output from there is going to be coming like this black line coming back from the trunk from the surge system. It's going to run right down here and under the car like so. And basically that main line is going to be running all the way to a Y splitter that is going to be right behind the engine. And then that's going to go into, so that Y splitter is going to feed the 2 rear points of the rail. So then the rails get filled with fuel. I'm going to have a line coming from here going back and a line from here going this way, and those 2 are going to go into a fuel pressure regulator that's going to be mounted right at the back of the engine there. And then a drain line is going to essentially leave the fuel pressure regulator through the bottom, and that's what this is actually right here, but it's got to obviously come the bottom of the fuel pressure regulator, and that's going to run all the way back up through the seat and into the return port here on the surge tank. And then I have one line that needs to go out of the overflow, and we're gonna have like a bulkhead fitting in the top of the stock sending unit. That's gonna essentially be like a fuel return back into the stock tank. So that's essentially a little bit intricate setup, but that's what needs to be done. And that's where we are right now. Also, so that's my factory diff sitting right there, and we essentially had to get the stock flange off of it because the LSD that I got, it is a automatic. It's from an automatic, but it's a proper 3.3 final drive LSD, and so that flange had to come off because I have to swap the flange from the automatic to the manual. And essentially this is, sorry guys, my garage is just a mess, we just moved in recently, and that's a manual flange right there from the diff. So that needs to get swapped on. You should be able to see that flange right there, the silver one at the top. That's the automatic flange, so that needs to be swapped. But it's a 30mm nut that needs to come off on the end of the diff, and for the life of us it's not coming off. So we're gonna have to hit it with like some heat and then use a proper impact to get it off. It's only so much you can really do with like hand tools and stuff, right? So yeah, that's what's going on right now. And then once that flange is in, I'll be able to put the actual drive shaft on as well, bolt up the exhaust system, and yep,